Hi, folks. I'm Sam Bullington, founder of Trans-Specific Spiritual Empowerment for Gender Creative People, and it is my mission to raise up 500 new gender creative leaders and teachers to help transform consciousness on the planet. And I'm wondering if you might be one of them. We are living through a time of massive evolutionary shift, and I strongly believe that trans and genderqueer and non-binary folks are key players in this shift. We have a lot of special insight and wisdom due to the uniqueness of our life journeys, skills and knowledge that those around us simply don't have, but do need. But we can't teach what we know if we are not living in our power, if we are busy hiding and just trying to survive. Because we are prophets from the future, it is true that we are living in a world that is not designed for us, and so it creates a lot of pain and suffering. And our message from the future is very threatening to those who are attached to this particularly painful reality. But the good news is that this reality is passing regardless. And I believe that we are meant to be building that future reality now. And that the quicker that we can all step into our power and assume our rightful role in life as leaders and teachers, then the quicker that we can all be living in that reality, which will be better for everyone, because everyone suffers under the limited gender options that we have, living in such a punishing binary system. Perhaps most especially cisgender people, although most of them don't even know it. So living in a world that fears and pities us has created a lot of disempowering baggage that is currently holding us back individually and collectively. I know I spent most of my adult life working on healing these things. And so this is a lot of what we'll be exploring in this group is how to heal the very specific baggage that comes with this very particular life journey. And even our very own communities frequently reinforce our disempowerment. If you think about trans community events, most of what we are offered are events like the Trans Day of Remembrance, the Trans Day of Silence, and support groups to talk about our suffering, all of which tend to highlight our experiences of victimization. So this is a lot of why I wanted to start my own trans choir, is really to offer the opportunity for gender creative people to come together, to do something really positive, something that really flows from our passion, our creativity, our vulnerability, and the opportunity to really touch people's hearts and to have the opportunity to teach and to lead. And so while I feel like it is important to acknowledge and bring attention to the physical and psychological violence that is directed against us, of course, exclusively focusing on it, I think merely increases our feelings of fear and vulnerability. And not to mention being dependent upon the outside world to change in order for us to feel safe is extremely disempowering in and of itself. But there is another way. And so I'm here to help you take your power back, to cultivate that from within, to help you assume your rightful role in life. Because I feel like part of why this current moment feels so bad is because it is out of alignment with truth. That the truth is that trans and genderqueer and non-binary folks are here to teach and to lead. And so when we are vilified and patronized, then we are in wrong relationship with our society. And everyone suffers from that misalignment. But being realigned with the truth of right relationship creates peace and empowerment for everyone. So when you are ready to be aligned with your inner truth and step into your destiny, then private message me and we can talk about whether you are one of the 500 that I've been looking for. And in the meantime, we're going to be talking about some of the things that get in the way of us living as the highest expression of ourselves. Those things that keep you from your joy and prevent you from making the contribution to society that you know you are meant to make. And I will be sharing from my own experience what I'm thinking of for next time. A lot of what's been coming up for me this week is about the expecting to be disappointed by life because of having so many experiences of not being met by other people. So I have that to look forward to later in the week. I welcome as well your comments and questions and your own sharing, whether that is during our live Q&As or through posts in our group. So let's get started. Message me now if you are watching now. I see we have a couple of folks tuned in, or you can share a post if you are listening to this later, and tell me at this point in your life, what is most holding you back from living your destiny and being the highest, most powerful, joyful expression of yourself? And who would you be if this thing was not holding you back? And maybe my next Facebook Live will be addressing your particular struggle. And if you're not sure what's holding you back, then maybe my upcoming Facebook Lives about some of the things that held me back might help to illuminate where you're feeling stuck. So I don't want to put pressure on the people who are watching live. I'm still figuring out how the Facebook Live works. So I will go ahead and end now and just invite you to share a post when and if it feels right to you about some of the things that you've been struggling with so that we can talk about it and address it and move beyond it. It looks like we got a comment. I have been hiding right now. Yeah, I feel like this is such a common experience that when we're not feeling safe, then of course, you know, our urge is to want to protect ourselves and to want to hide. And it is very ironic that what I have found is that, you know, when we are hiding, then we imagine that we are hiding from the things that want to harm us and that we are doing a good job of protecting ourselves. But oftentimes what is simultaneously happening, or what is happening even more profoundly, is that we are hiding from the people who are wanting to find us, and we are hiding from the people and things that could actually help us. And so it takes a lot of courage to step out of that place of hiding, especially living in a society that, you know, we are taught that we are separate and fragile and vulnerable, and that we're all in competition with each other for survival, to look at other people as threatening. And this is, you know, just for ordinary people, much less for folks who have had a lot of rejection and a lot of suffering in our lives. And so, of course, it doesn't feel safe to come out into the world. And so, you know, part of what we are missing by hiding and by not stepping out is not only finding those that we could receive support from and love from and collaborate with, but also we're missing out on a lot of our power in life, because we do have a tremendous amount of power in our everyday lives to transform the situations around us. You may have noticed that, you know, when you show up as your authentic self, that you give other people the permission to be in their authentic self, because they can see, oh, you're not pretending and hiding, and so I don't have to either. And so it creates more safety for everyone involved. And on the other hand, if you show up in situations full of fear and suspicion, that oftentimes then we set the tone for that as well, and that we can actually activate the fear and suspicion in other people because they sense it in us. And so, you know, a lot of what we'll be talking about in here is, you know, what are those everyday ways that we could actually, instead of trying to buffer ourselves from the situations around us to try to defensively protect ourselves, how is it that we could step out and be leaders in the situation and really set the tone and really recreate the world around us in our own image, instead of defensively trying to fit ourselves into or protect ourselves from the world that other people are creating? How is it that we can create a world that will not only be better for us, but that will also be better for everyone. Because that's a lot of, why I'm so passionate about the work that I do, because I'm not just trying to create, a better world for, my little group, but I'm working for changes in society that would create more spaciousness for everyone. So especially around having more gender expansiveness that helps not just gender creative people, but also cisgender people who seem to be thriving in the gender world that we have created, but actually are suffering quite a bit because they are actually much more imprisoned by it than those of us who are largely living outside of it, even though we experience a lot of the consequences as object lessons for other people. But they are actually living in a greater lack of freedom. And also, I do a lot of polyamory counseling, just wrote a book about polyamory. And so also, whether you're polyamorous or not, having more spaciousness around relationships and love and sexuality and how we're able to express ourselves and connect with one another would create, a more spacious and a more free and a more fun and creative world for everyone, even if you understand yourself to be strictly monogamous and might not want to use those options for yourself. Just simply having more options and having less punishment would be creating a easier and better world for everyone. Yeah, no, thank you, Joy, for sharing. Joy says, I see what you're saying and I want to live completely authentically. And I think that's really beautiful. I think that's a lot of the special teaching that gender creative people are here to role model for other folks is really about authenticity. And, one of the things that I always remind cisgender people is that, the path to authenticity for trans and genderqueer non-binary people oftentimes, looks more extraordinary than what other people are doing because it tends to be more visible because it happens through our bodies and through our gender presentation. But it's not meant to be a totally different journey. Like we should not be doing something that is extraordinary. We're just doing it in a more visible way than other people, but everyone should be, on their journey to authenticity. And a lot of folks who grow up and fit into more mainstream life, they're just never really, not only not challenged to be in their authenticity, but they're never even invited to be in their authenticity. And so they're doing a lot of pretending. And so, we really are the role models and the teachers of how to have the courage to truly be authentic and to be in the joy and freedom of that authenticity. And as a result, that we can really inspire the people around us to be able to come more into their authenticity. I know when I decided to change my name, I was living in Minneapolis and I shared that with my spiritual community in Minneapolis. And one of the people in the group, a cisgender woman, went out the very next day and she changed her last name legally. And she came back and shared the next week. And she just said, I just always have never really liked my last name. It never really resonated with me. And when Sam came to the group and shared about changing his name, then I just felt empowered, like I could go out and change my name to something that would suit me more. And so, we just never really know the kind of impact that we have on people by the courageous choices that we make. So thank you, Joy, for having the courage to step out and share yourself with the group, and invite others to do that in ways that feel right to you. And have a terrific couple of days, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks.